Good Samaritan, who goes out of his way to aid an injured man, signifies Jesus Christ, who encounters man in need of salvation and cares for his wounds and suffering with the oil of consolation and the wine of hope. He is the physician of souls and bodies, the faithful witness of the divine salvific presence in the world. How to make this message concrete today? How to translate it into a readiness to accompany a suffering person in the terminal stages of life in this world, and to offer this assistance in a way that respects and promotes the intrinsic human dignity of persons who are ill, their vocation to holiness, and thus the highest worth of their existence. The pastoral care of all, families, doctors, nurses, and chaplains, can help the patient to persevere in sanctifying grace and to die in charity and the love of God. Where faith is absent in the face of the inevitability of illness, especially when chronic or degenerative, fear of suffering, death, and the discomfort they entail is the main factor driving the attempt to control and manage the moment of death, and indeed to hasten it through euthanasia or assisted suicide. In the face of the challenge of illness and the emotional and spiritual difficulties associated with pain, one must necessarily know how to speak a word of comfort drawn from the compassion of Jesus on the cross. It is full of hope, a sincere hope, like Christ's on the cross, capable of facing the moment of trial and the challenge of death. In the cross of Christ are consecrated and recapitulated all the sickness and suffering of the world, all the physical suffering, of which the cross, that instrument of an infamous and shameful death, is a symbol. All of the psychological suffering, expressed in the death of Jesus in the darkest of solitude, abandonment and betrayal. All of the moral suffering, manifested in the condemnation to death of one who is innocent. All the spiritual suffering, displayed in a desolation that seems like the very silence of God. Then there is the cross, an instrument of torture and execution reserved only for the lowest, that symbolically looks just like those afflictions that nail us to a bed, that portend only death, and that render meaningless time and its flow. Still, those who remain near the sick not only betoken but also embody affections, connections, along with a profound readiness to love. In all this, the suffering person can discern the human gaze that lends meaning to the time of illness. For in the experience of being loved, all of life finds its justification.